In the year of 2024, we have seen a lot of insane events, to the point in which not even the world's greatest anime writers could come up with. Despite all of that, I think we should take the time to acknowledge the good this year. For example, your personal accomplishments, your own personal health, and my top 10 best films of 2024. Kind of a strange segue, but I liked it. I thought it was cool. Again, guys, this is all just my opinion, and this is all for kicks and giggles. But I also want to put y'all on to some fire movies. And now, let's end the year on a more positive note. Kicking off this list at number 10, we have Late Night with the Devil. Have you guys ever walked into a movie expecting it to be great and then it ends up being way better than you could have possibly imagined? That is how I felt after watching Late Night with the Devil. Everything about it is fantastic. The 70s aesthetics, the vibe and tone of the film, the diabolical tension, and of course, David Dastmalchian's stellar performance. And I love this movie because it does not rely on cheap jump scares, but rather the overall uneasiness of the film. From start to finish, the tension just consistently builds up and up and up, and boy, the final outcome, in my opinion, was worth it. The best kind of tension is the tension that never stops. And this movie also delivers a great theme of why you should never sell your soul for fame, clout, fortune, whatever. Because although you received all of those great assets, look what you lost in exchange. No amount of money, clout, fame is worth selling your soul. And that's just me. Coming in at number 9, we have Ghostlight. Now, this is a movie that I feel like most of you have probably never heard of. And I never heard of this movie until a fellow movie tuber reviewed this movie and gave it high praise, and I decided, okay, let me go check it out. And I thank God every day that he put out that review and I tuned in for it. But the beauty about that movie is that it's real. It is a film that all humans can connect to some level. Ghostlight is such an emotional journey because, let's be honest, as humans, it's kind of hard for a lot of us to move on after such a traumatic event happening in the family. It can hurt you, it really can, and I think the movie just wants us to try and find some level of peace through the form of art, in particular acting. And this movie does a fantastic job at tackling the toxic stereotype that men have to bottle up their emotions. Men can't show feelings, men are not allowed to cry. Let's not do that, but you have lovable and relatable characters and an already lovable and relatable story. If you want to watch a really good cry, I'd recommend Ghostlight. At number 8, we have The Book of Clarence. Yes, a January movie in my top 10 best films list. I was super excited for this movie, and when I walked out, I was beyond satisfied. Look, y'all, I'm a James Samuels fan, and when it comes to his work, the guy just doesn't miss. James Samuel created a story that takes place during biblical times and turned it into a heartbreaking, compassionate, but yet uplifting and optimistic film. And the comedy is done perfectly, like it is on a whole nother level. Great director, solid premise, and a great actor, and an even greater cast. The movie is bound for success. In this case, it didn't make much, unfortunately. However, that does not mean the movie is bad. And once again, no, the movie is not a mockery of Christianity. Please stop that. At number 7, this may be a shocker for some people, but Dune Part 2. Look, I know Dune Part 2 is probably in a lot of people's top 5s, hell, even top 3s, but listen, I love Dune Part 2, but there are other movies that came out this year. Why are Dune fans acting like Dune 2 is the only movie that came out this year? I don't understand. However, I do understand the hype because Dune Part 2 is a phenomenal film. It is movies like Dune Part 2 that remind us why the movie theater going experience will never die. When Dune Part 2 came out, this movie was like a major event. Like, you had to go see this. Better action, a better story, better use of the runtime, and also better performances. And let us not forget about the insanely gorgeous visuals. Like I said in my Dune Part 2 review, I wouldn't be surprised if Denis Villeneuve came out and said, yeah, I recorded both Dune 1 and Dune 2 on a whole nother planet outside of our galaxy. The visuals looking this good should be illegal. This movie has to win best visuals. Like, there's no way. No other movie is touching this. I'm sorry. And I love Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides. I love the entire cast. And I really loved Austin Butler as Fade. To me, Austin Butler as Fade was one of my personal favorite performances of the year. So if you have not seen Dune Part 1, I recommend watching Part 1 before getting into Part 2 just to give you the full context. Part 2, miles better than 1. At number 6, and I told myself I'm gonna put this on my list somehow, some way, Thelma. Thelma is a sweet, genuine, and heartwarming movie. If this movie does not want to make you want to hug your grandmother, you're the devil. A vigilante grandmother trying to take back the money that was stolen from her, sprinkled with great humor and cuteness. Yeah, sounds like a masterpiece. But this movie just warmed up my soul on so many levels, and June Squibb gave one of the best performances ever. If you want a real feel-good movie, I would highly recommend Thelma. Reeling in at number 5, we have one of the saddest and most heartbreaking movies of 2024. The Wild Robot. This movie takes the concepts of love, acceptance, and parenthood and makes you cry like you've never cried before. This has got to be one of DreamWorks' most ambitious and most riveting movies yet. From the story, to the characters, to the heartfelt moments, to the stellar animation, this movie is like genuinely perfect. If you didn't cry or at least come close to crying while watching this movie, you gotta be Timmy Turner from that one episode where he couldn't feel any emotions. At number 4, another movie that you've all probably never heard of, A Hip Hop Story. A Hip Hop Story blew my mind away the first time I saw it. If you are familiar with Affion Crockett, he puts a lot of love and care into his art, and this movie is a clear demonstration of that. If you love hip hop and hip hop culture like truly and fully, this is the movie for you. If you love the origins of hip hop, if you love soul sampling, if you love a good old cypher, you're gonna love this one. And on top of that, the movie is flat out hilarious, like dead ass, one of the funniest movies of all time. I think this is a movie that the older generation of hip hop and the newer generation of hip hop can love and admire. And if you somehow end up still not liking this movie, one thing you gotta give props on is Affion Crockett's performance. When it comes to his impressions of all of these different hip hop icons throughout history, that should not go unnoticed. Especially his Jay-Z impression. That impression is almost scary.
We got some white women with some really fat asses waiting for you. Okay.
A hip hop story is for the culture. The real culture. At number 3, we have another great comedy film, Anora. I am still in shock with how hilarious this movie is. In fact, this movie was my introduction to Sean Baker. And after doing a little bit more research, I gotta tell you, Sean Baker, this guy loves his sex workers, but Anora serves as this hilarious yet twisted version of a Cinderella story. In this movie, there is no love, just chaos on top of chaos. What's crazy about Anora is that the first half was a drama with comedic elements, and the second half turns into a full-fledged comedy. I gotta admire the change of tone because this is amazing. And let us not forget about the incredible performance from Mikey Madison. She gave the performance of a lifetime. So if you could look past all the ground-shaking ass and mindless sex, Anora is a pretty amazing film. At number 2, we have Sing Sing. I absolutely loved this movie. I believe that Sing Sing is one of the most captivating and most important films of our time. This movie is about finding love, peace, and joy in a place where love, peace, and joy is very shallow. One thing I love about this movie is the ensemble cast. So if you didn't know, the incarcerated men that you see in the film were played by the real-life formerly incarcerated men of the Sing Sing Correctional Facility. And I am glad this movie allowed these men to share their stories with us on the big screen. Coleman Domingo and Clarence Macklin were like lightning in a bottle. I am completely rooting for these two for the Oscars and any other award distributions that are acknowledging their performances. And one of the best parts about this movie, and this is kind of more on a personal level, I am glad the movie ended with black people experiencing joy and hope. One thing about me that I personally hate is that I hate when there is a movie that is about black people, right? And we got to go through suffering, and in the end, it ends with more suffering. But in Sing Sing, the movie ends with actual joy, hope, and optimism. All of these other movies, I'm tired of seeing us suffer. Give us some happiness, please. And before we get into my number 1 pick, I want to share with you all a few honorable mentions that I think deserve some sort of acknowledgement for how entertaining and awesome they are. Absolute W movies. And finally, at number 1 for my favorite film of 2024, The Substance. I cannot remember the last time in which I've seen a horror movie that left me disgusted. I have seen a lot of gross things in my life, but this movie, it's up there. I love me a good body horror film with great practical effects, and boy howdy, The Substance delivers on that 1,000%, while also serving as a cautionary tale and a big fuck you to the weird beauty standards that Hollywood has created for women. It be the most sloppiest, most fattest, most ugliest looking dudes that create these weird beauty standards for women. I mean, dog, who are you to give instructions to a woman on how she should look like when you're out here built like Dave Blunt? To all the ladies out there in the world, love yourself. Don't let the media fool you. Not only is the grotesque body horror imagery great, not only are the themes and the messages great, The performances are stellar. This has to be one of Demi Moore's most captivating performances, and she delivered 1000%. But overall, great film, but it's so fucking gross. But yeah, y'all, that is pretty much my list for my top 10 best films of 2024. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys thought about my list. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What is your number one favorite film of 2024? Whatever you thought, let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, guys, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you all in the next one.